Hello and welcome to episode 492 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is the frontman from the amazing band Seahaven. I'm joined by the awesome Kyle Soto. On today's interview, we get to talk all about the band's brand new album, which has just come out. It's a self-titled album that has been years in the making and is absolutely phenomenal. I've been listening to it solidly for the last couple of weeks, and if you haven't discovered this band, I'm hoping by the end of this episode of Mark and Me, you'll go and check them out and fall in love with them just like I have. They really are worthy of your time. And that interview will be coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. Now, what I do on every episode of Mark and Me, and there might be some new listeners because the last episode has been my most downloaded episode of the year. It only came out a few days ago, but my God, it was insane. I've had thousands of new followers, loads of new retweets and shares, and so much support behind this episode. It was with Brent Smith, the frontman of Shinedown. Thank you to him, thank you to the band, thank you to everyone that took the time to share the episode. I've never seen numbers like it. It was insane. And my God, thank you. The love was unreal. Fan sites sharing it, people taking clips from the episodes. It was mind-blowing, and I appreciate each and every single one of you for taking the time to do that. And I'm thinking there's probably a few people that have now listened to Mark and Me and followed on to this episode off the back of that one. So welcome, and I hope you enjoyed the ride ahead. But I want to get straight to today's interview. This is great, and I love this guy. It gets deep. We talk in depth about the new album. So let's get to it. Here's me and Kyle from the awesome band Seahaven.
Tell me that dream that leaves me in pieces. Getting off easy if you're not without me. I wanna skip your sleep, love. I've got my reasons. You got your halo, and I don't believe.
So Kyle, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. What I do with all guests that come on, I always take it back to the very beginning, and I'm always interested. When you were growing up, maybe you had a part-time job to get that pocket money, or you got some money in your hand and you invested in that first record. It might be a guilty pleasure, it might be an album you never tell people about, or it might be an absolute classic. But are you able to tell me or remember that first album that maybe you bought with your own money?
Interesting. The first record, it's hard to say because I had I have an older brother who's about 5 years older, so he would kind of, I looked up to him a lot as a kid, and he would kind of show me what he was listening to. And I remember the early bands. He'd get it, Green Day and Korn and things like kind of a wide spectrum of music, Blink-182, all that stuff. I think I definitely gravitated earlier on to the more kind of melodic and poppy side of things, less on the heavier kind of like Korn and all that. But it probably would have been that I bought myself maybe like a Boxcar Racer record, or
Oh, nice.
yeah, something in that era of like the big rise of Blink and Sum 41 and all that stuff. Because I used to have a record or a couple record shops right around the corner from where I lived, so I would just go there and just kind of peruse the shelves for hours. And because you only had so much money when you're young, so you got to make it count. So you got to pick something you're gonna like.
That's amazing. I'd do the same. I'd go on a paper round, work for a whole week, buy an album, and then kind of, because you didn't have, people won't realize, but you didn't have Spotify and stuff back then. So you'd take a risk and you'd end up falling in love with the album because you'd spent sort of $12 or something on an album. Even if it was terrible, you kind of had to convince yourself that it was worth every penny because it'd be a while until you could get another album.
You had to do that, and it's kind of funny because now it's quite the opposite. It's the same, more or less the same time, energy, and money gets spent into making a record, but now it's everything's so accessible. So someone listens to the first 20 seconds and they go next, and whereas before, like you said, you spent your money on it and it meant something to you, so you wanted to at least give it the time of day and try to find things that you might like in it, and then maybe grow to love it. Maybe it stays kind of lukewarm, but at least you gave it an honest listen.
So what about live music? I was really lucky. I tell this story in every episode, so the long-time listeners will be rolling their eyes at this point, but I was really, really lucky. The first gig I ever went to was Green Day on their Dookie tour. Um,
Wow.
it blew my mind. I came home, wanted to be a guitarist, wanted to be a singer. That was all I ever wanted to do since seeing that gig. I was just like, this is why live music is so important. Were you lucky? Did you have a great first
Inspiring.
gig, or is it something that was a bit cringy and embarrassing you don't tell people, or?
Um, no, I think the I used to visit my grandparents in Montana, and they would take us to me and my cousin when we were young, take us to like some Christian music festival. I think it was out in Washington, but we'd go on like a little road trip and go to like festivals for like Christian. They had kind of every type of genre, but I would go to like, the pop punk or like the hard rock kind of, bands that they had and kind of see music there. But I think the first proper like arena show would have been um I think I might have probably been fourth or fifth grade, and I saw Simple Plan and Avril Lavigne in
Wow.
a in an arena. Yeah, I think they actually just did a like a 20-year or whatever it would have been, 20-year anniversary of that tour. But yeah, I remember seeing, and I didn't know who Simple Plan was at the time, and I was really into that big Avril Lavigne record that came out. I think it was the debut record, but and then Simple Plan was opening. I remember watching them, and it was just a great example of, coming for the headliner and then getting there early and then being like, wow, I might like the opener more than the headliner. Like, I'm so happy I came and got to see this. So that was probably the first big one in that sticks out in memory.
Did you come home that night, or was it later on where you thought to yourself, I really, really want to be in a band, or I really want to perform? Or was it later on?
That's a good question. I mean, it's interesting because, back in middle school, probably, sixth, seventh grade, me and Eric, our drummer, we both picked up guitar as our first instruments. And I remember back then we were even, taking our guitars to school with those little portable pocket amps and just, in between class or at lunchtime, just kind of like going in a corner and, getting all our friends and just kind of playing guitar together. And so it must have been before that. But I mean, I date back to, when I was young and looking at old family home videos. And there's videos of me like very young, kind of like on the coffee table, like singing and dancing around like I'm in a music video or something for, rap music, rock music, there's all kinds of stuff and singing into the camera, doing the whole thing. So it honestly, to as far back as I can remember, it's just kind of been a second language. It's just kind of a natural thing. Um, and yeah, I think probably when I first got that first guitar, me and Eric both got the same little Fender starter pack for Christmas one year. Kind of just from there, it just took off. It's just like, okay, we just got to, let's learn all the covers we can. Let's, just do whatever we can to piece together a band and figure out. A drummer was always the hard one to find at that time when you're really young, because probably the parents don't want to buy the loud drum kit at that age. But yeah, once you can put together a band and then you start, fumbling around and figuring out how to play songs. So pretty far back. But yeah, that concert could have been a pivotal moment because it's probably around that time that I was getting that guitar, maybe a year after that concert or so, somewhere around then. But yeah, it's always kind of been a thread kind of woven through.
Was there ever a plan B for you? Because if you ever turn around to your family and tell them the words, I want to be in a band, most parents might shit themselves and be like, this is not a real job. Like, we want you to go out there and earn a proper living and stop
Right.
living in a dream world. Or were you the opposite? Were they really supportive and like, we believe you can do this? Or did it take a bit of time and convincing until they were like, okay, we can see this is something serious?
Right. It's interesting. I just listened to um just the other day I was listening to a podcast with Billy Corgan of the Pumpkins, and he was saying about how when he was young and he was learning how to play guitar, his dad kind of I don't know, just kind of like bashed on him and didn't really give him the time of day and didn't seem to believe him early on, and it kind of like ignited you know, a work ethic to where he would, practice, all these hours and hours and hours on the guitar. Kind of had a chip on his shoulder, but I think that can be a common kind of path that happens. But for me, as far as I can remember, my parents were always very supportive. Um, and I think they just saw because it really, I mean, think as I get older, I'm getting into my mid 30s and, starting to imagine what, raising a family might look like and all that. It's like I'm imagining having kids and, if they get into music or whatever they might get into, whatever their passion is, it's pretty abundantly clear. I'm imagining, their perspective when I was at that young age and, I'm eat, sleeping, dreaming, like that's all I could focus on. It's like clearly this kid is, very, you know, devoted and passionate to this thing. So it's like they never really, try to step in or put any roadblocks or speed bumps. They kind of just like kind of supported it when I was, fully touring. And then, we've taken a couple of breaks here and there. And yeah, they've always just kind of let me fly where I'm going to fly. And I don't know. I think I'm very appreciative of that because I mean, doing this whole thing is hard enough as it is. So when you have people in your life that are, trying to, pull you down or not, be as supportive as they may could be is kind of, just makes it a little harder.
Was there a turning point for you guys where you felt like maybe the crowds were getting bigger, more people were buying tickets, more people were probably wearing your merch or even just singing the songs back, but you felt you justified all those decisions for this to be your only route and your only plan? There's no kind of backup plan of, oh, I might be a poet or I might get a job in a shop. Like you can clearly see this was all you were meant to do and wanted to do. So was there a point where you really believed that it was a turning point that made you have that belief in yourself, like this is the right option, this is the right choices we've made, and we can probably go as far as we can to make this our full-time jobs?
Yeah, I think it's for us it was pretty organic as far as the trajectory of we started very humble, just putting booking the shows on our first tour. Half of them ended up falling through or playing, in the most obscure kind of spaces you can imagine. Uh, and really just took it from square one. And I think that it wasn't it wasn't an overnight thing, but I we released the first EP and then the debut full length a year apart from each other. So that kind of momentum as we were, getting slightly bigger tours and just kind of playing more shows, I think we can naturally see just the response as you're saying in the live performance, like the singing along and people like resonating and more so for me, you watch, maybe the draw, the attendance grows and maybe the merch, you got to print more merch and all that. But for me, it's like when the conversations you have with the fans and the interactions there is, and it's been like this kind of from the beginning for us, is it's always a very personal and intimate relationship that I think a lot of our fans kind of have to the music to where the conversations are very rarely shallow and kind of surface level. There's always like a pretty deep connection there. So for me, that was always the most, I guess, kind of rewarding and gratifying kind of feeling that people are not only connecting and they enjoy coming to the show and moving around and having a good time, but it seemed to like be hitting on a deeper personal level for them, like within the lyrics and whatnot. Um, so that's why for us it's like it doesn't matter necessarily if we're playing small clubs or if we can scale and get on these much bigger stages. For me, it's like the proof that there's something kind of deeper there is these conversations that I'll have and realize, in the tattoos and all these things, and they'll kind of give us the meaning and the story behind them. And it's like, okay, clearly like this is touching them in the way that music has done for me, the music I've listened to over the years. and it's kind of like this beautiful kind of like, cycle of how it all works and how music can just kind of heal people. So yeah, that over the years has been kind of like the barometer of, okay, I think we're doing something right. It seems to be connecting.
No, it's amazing. And you talked about those bands that you looked up to. What sort of bands were you influenced by that, would have been that band you'd have had a lyric tattooed on you or a deep, meaningful conversation with friends about breaking down an album and really understanding what those musicians were trying to put down? What are the bands that had that effect on you that you still see fans come up to you and talk about yourselves today?
Yeah, I mean, over the years it's, kind of evolved like as, many people's musical taste does, but I mean, earlier on there's also like the kind of they're the bands that they're the taste that kind of evolves through time, and there's the constant. So for instance, like when I was young, I was getting into, like I mentioned, Blink 182, Sum 41, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But at the same time, you know, the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Creedence, like all that was being played in my house as well. And so from a young kid, hearing those artists to now, I'm still listening to those artists, right? So it's like that's kind of been constant throughout. But as far as growing up, kind of went from kind of like the pop punky stuff and then getting into, I guess, kind of like that MySpace era, which was like kind of the more metalcore and things like that when you're in middle school. And then it got into the more indie rock, um, you know,
I miss
Death
the
Cab.
MySpace days, man. They were so good. Like updating your profile to have a song on there. You could only have one song that played when you visited the page. People forget this, and you were like in trauma with yourself. Like, how do I only pick one song? And I remember like at the time I must have put like Offspring on there, and I'd be like, no, it can't be that. I need to change it because they're a bit too poppy now. So I pick Refused, and I'd be like, yeah, they're edgy. They're like, and then I'd sleep like not sleep very well at night, worrying about if my song profile was enough to like convince people that was me. It's fucking
Right.
ridiculous.
It was a big deal. It was a big
Yeah, one
deal.
song. It's not easy.
That's funny. Yeah, it's like yeah, that was a big deal. But yeah, I mean, that whole scene, and then I think coming out of that, we all kind of discovered like the hardcore scene, like the proper hardcore stuff and punk and all that. And but yeah, and then indie rock, you know, and all the good 90s stuff. And it's just kind of been a like a spectrum of artists over the years. But I think, yeah, for me, I've always been an album listener. So um yeah, when you find that record start to, and that's why, talking back about the record shops, it's like I feel like you gave the full album experience more of a chance, whereas now it's kind of single driven, or they kind
Yeah,
of
of
it's all
course.
algorithmic. and and back then, you'd buy a record, and I don't you'd sit it and you put it in your CD player or whatever it may be, and you listen start to finish, and then you'd have that, maybe get lucky and have that little secret song at the end of the last track.
Oh
And
man, I had this conversation literally the other day. I can't even remember. Oh, it was with Don Broco, and we were talking about the lost art of an album having a hidden track, like Nirvana would have it, and the band
so cool.
Ash. And you'd have these, you'd fall asleep listening to music with your headphones on and a CD, and maybe 15 minutes later, like shit yourself and be like, what the fuck? Because a track started playing that was a hidden track that was not everyone knew about. And I was like, you don't get that anymore on Spotify. People won't realize the importance of how cool it was to find this hidden track.
So fun. Yeah, they don't know what they're missing. It was I love stuff like that. I used to be, yeah, the hidden tracks, and I would just dig into, just open up all the album art and physically, kind of looking through all of it and seeing if there's any Easter eggs, or, maybe lyrics that you might have misinterpreted, or put little fun little things in there. And it's a different time. And, we may be operating still from that kind of headspace as far as, putting together a record, and kind of wanting that experience to, feel kind of cohesive and whatnot. But I don't know, that's kind of organic to me and to us, I think. So we try not to fight that. If it feels, if it feels authentic to you, you should run with it. So, maybe people feel good and enjoy doing like kind of the single route and just like, what's gonna take off on TikTok or whatever it might be. But for me, it's like it's always that full album listen that really is the test, the stress test.
I think that's why I still love vinyl so much because you have to sit there and start. You can't just kind of pick songs and play shuffle. You can have to listen to
Right.
an album in its entirety. And I think I've grown up as you taking out the lyric books, even smelling it, the smell of that CD inlay and finding all the
Yeah,
lyrics
yeah,
and the band's pictures. And sometimes you could take the compartment out of the CD and even that bit had a print on it. It's like, oh, this is cool. And
exactly.
I used to just get lost in looking at the lyrics and sitting and reading them as I was listening along. But I, 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 I understand the way the industry's changed. I'm not trying to sound like a granddad, but the most disappointing thing for me as a listener now is when an album has come out, I've heard probably 6 or 7 tracks off it because bands are releasing 5 or 6 singles before the album to get as much buzz as you can. And I love music. It's what I live for. But sometimes the album then is like, oh, I've discovered 4 new tracks because I've listened to the singles again and again. So
Right.
I sound like a granddad, but I miss the old days. Like, when I used to listen to Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy would have a couple of singles, maybe Zero in 1979, and that was it. And you'd have 22 tracks to explore and then listen to in the
Yeah.
way that Billy Corgan intended it to flow. And it was a magical journey. And now I feel like those journeys are short little stops instead of one long journey.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I agree with you. It's interesting. And for us, for instance, for this new record, we're, somewhat doing that because it's kind of like a slow trip as far as the singles we're dropping and, kind of talking to the label on what they think is the best bet. Because for me, I don't stay so tuned in with all the bands and who's doing what and what's like the best way to market, whatever. I just try to focus on the music, but
Yeah.
there is some, there's two sides of the coin for us. It's kind of like, we could kind of surprise drop an album or maybe just put out a single or something like that, which for me is more exciting when artists do, but at the same time, it's like, well, we've been gone for a while. We haven't released anything since 2020, so we should probably like try to kind of re-engage and get people kind of paying attention again so they'll, they're aware if we drop something. So we're trying to do kind of a balance to that. But yeah, it is interesting now. It's like um yeah, especially there's some artists I listen to. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but they'll release singles, like quite literally the singles over, a year or so span, and then they release the record and it's pretty much every single they've just piecemealed throughout the
Yeah,
entire.
exactly that.
It's kind of, yeah, it's interesting. It's like, okay, well, yeah,
What did I
what
wait for? You kind of like, as a fan, you're like, okay, I got one extra track I didn't hear, and it wasn't great because that's why you've released all the singles.
Mhm.
So, what about, was it a deliberate thing of taking 6 years? Because obviously, before that, with Music for Escapism Only, that was 2014. So, that was a 6 year gap until Halo of Hurt. So, is this a common theme now that it's going to be every 6 years till a new album?
Um,
2032, we get the follow up to the self titled album.
um, no, not intentional. I think it's just kind of happenstance how it had it. I mean, we did Reverie, that was 2014. We toured
Yeah.
up the next couple years, and then um 2016 to 2019, we kind of took a step away. I wasn't kind of writing much music, just kind of doing everyday life stuff, uh and then yeah, we put out Halo, and we intended to kind of go full steam ahead and, put together a lot of touring. And then we just, COVID kind of shut everything down. And the timing of that was just didn't line up for us. And then by the time things reopened, everyone's, lives are kind of in different spots. And it's like, okay, well, where do we pick it up now? And then just kind of went back on the back burner. But this time, I feel like we're in a good space. Everyone is, ready to get out again and get in front of people and play the music. And I think that I think we're pretty confident with this record. So hopefully, there's still enough people listening that they'll come out and see the shows. But it's just coincidence. I think it's the same amount of time, but probably too long, I'd say.
Is it a daunting feeling when you have to? Obviously, I know you said you stepped away and weren't writing for a while, and we had COVID and all the stuff that comes with life. But was there a moment that you found yourself thinking, "Is there a way back?" Like with the new album, amazing, so good to have new music. But is there a point when you think, "Oh, like 6 years is a long time. It's getting to the point like, do we still have those people out there that hopefully will get tickets and come and see us and believe in us?" Because the world's very short-minded. I sometimes, even with a podcast, think, oh, I've left it 2 weeks. People might stop subscribing and listen to something else now because they're used to the format of a weekly podcast. And it's so easy just to be replaced in this world now because there's thousands of people demanding your attention. Are you thinking, oh, fuck, I really hope people out there still got that kind of love for us and desire? And is it still going to be the same, or is it daunting coming back with new music, thinking, I really hope people are still out there waiting?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Eric, our drummer, he's I've known him for over 30 years, so he's kind of my partner in crime in this. We'll talk about where we think things sit, and people are still paying attention, but he's kind of the one who will give me the, I guess, reality check of sorts, but kind of just like kind of hone in on it's been up until this year. It's like it's been a decade until we've or since we've done a proper tour. And for me, I kind of just stay busy, and I don't know, as you get older, you pick up more responsibility and more relationships and all those things. So for me, it doesn't seem like it's been that long because it's always kind of right next to me, but he'll kind of give me the clarity on, like, we've been away for a long time. Like, we kind of need to do some rebuilding and get out in front of, some younger fans and do the whole thing. Um, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, you're right. It's been quite a while, but we did the Winter Forever anniversary tour, a couple months back, and now we're doing the UK run, and it definitely was, we're very fortunate. We were very pleasantly surprised with the turnout and, everyone coming back out. Uh, and it went very well, but now we're left with the question. It's like, okay, well, they came out for the record they liked from yesteryear, but now we have this new music. It's like, how do we get them to engage and still be interested in what's new? Because it's tricky. Like you said, there's a lot of content on, in every space at any given time. So it's like, even for me, you know, admittedly, if one of my, favorite artists plays a record that I, would love to see in full, and I go see it, and then they come back around, oh, we're doing new music, like it takes some convincing of, like, there's just you're competing on such a high level against so much other noise that it's like, to get someone to re-engage and say, oh, I love melancholy, but now you're putting out a new record. It's like, well, I could listen to a new record, or I could just listen to this one I know I already like.
Yeah, it's
You
so
know what I'm saying?
true. It's so true.
It's kind of a pain in the ass, but at the same time, it's like, we wrote this new music, and again, like, uh, if I wasn't confident in it, then we wouldn't put it out. So, I've listened, must have listened to it 150 times at this point, and every time I listen, I go, all right, I want this to be out there. I think people enjoy this. I enjoy this. Um, but what I'll always say to Eric, I go, Eric, this could be the greatest record of all time. This could be, a gift from the gods. It could be anything, but if nobody hears it, it doesn't matter. So it's like, it's not, it almost doesn't even, like, half the battle is just getting someone to press play. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And obviously, by no means am I saying it's, whatever the greatest thing of all time. I'm very confident in it, but as far as, the reception and all that, it's like, just to get the ears, just to get the air time for the, just 30 seconds to see if you can hook them into a song is like, it's just there's so much noise. It's an interesting time for music, I think.
I think our attention span is just withering away. Even
Terribly.
when I go to the cinema now, I'm a massive film fan. I love films as much as I love music, and
Me too.
I sometimes feel like people aren't prepared to sit there for 3 hours and watch a Paul Thomas Anderson absolute masterpiece anymore because people just want that hour, 20 minute silly comedy or horror that just will be on every screen in the cinema. But then you get someone like Wes Anderson come along and really construct an incredible piece of work that's crafted, that's beautiful, that uses practical effects. And people are just like, no, I just want something quick, easy. And I'm like, I might sound like a granddad, but music's the same. Like you said, you've got that window of a short viral clip on Instagram as a story or a TikTok video to try and pull people in.
Mhm.
And I think it's so tough because everything's so disposable. I could be told, go and listen to Seahaven. I go, okay, cool. What's their best song? Pick any. And if I push play on that Spotify and I'm like, nah, it's not that great, after 20 seconds, that's done. Like, Sea Haven will never have a place in my heart to earn that right again. But then I'm in my safe zone, so I'll then go, fuck it, I'm going to go and listen to Jimmy Eat World Bleed American because that album is classic and that's all that I care about. It doesn't matter if they bring out a new single next week, it won't sound as good as, you know, anything they've done before. So it's such a tough game where you've got such a short window to try and prove yourself. It feels like a constant kind of contest that you're up against all the time with yourself, never mind the public.
Right. Yeah, and it's almost like as people, if you leave an impact with, like a debut or a specific record, you're just constantly living in that shadow and chasing that forever because people just it's like the more successful and the more it connects that album, it's almost like the less they want to listen to the other one.
It's
You
so
know what I
true.
mean?
Like, look at Refused. I mentioned them. What a band. The Shape of Punk to Come is an absolute masterpiece. New Noise is the song. It's almost like a one hit wonder, as much as I love Refused. And anything they do now, it's like, just play that song. At gigs, I'm waiting. I can see everyone waiting until the very end for them to play that song. They release new songs, and everyone's like, shut up, just play fucking New Noise. Like, it's like Limp Bizkit, look, like break stuff. Like they play it
Yeah.
twice in their set now. They play it twice because people care that much about that song. I think. Why does Limp Bizkit even sit down now, Fred Durst, and write new music? Because no one's going to give a fuck.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's very interesting because it is a double-edged sword. It's it is a big kind of bummer, but the other side of it is like the fact that they even care about your song at all is, it's a blessing. So it's like
And 25 years later, to go to a festival and still people go crazy like it's the first time they've heard it. It's pretty magical,
exactly.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so clearly you've done something very special. It's just the rub is that that's all they want to hear. It's the only thing they ever want to hear from you.
So what's that like? And I'm going to make you scared now, knowing that you're releasing your self-titled new album this year. Do you have that doubt that people aren't going to be accepting, or are you kind of thinking because you've spoken to the rest of the guys in the band? Yeah, like we've rested on nostalgia. People have loved the tours to promote the albums, but now it's time to put something new out there and feel excited again as musicians, not playing the same songs again.
I mean, I think it's just tough. I think it's the best. And again, it's such this interesting thing because how you are hearing it versus how the listener's going to hear it is, can be two different things. So anybody who's, out talking about their new record, they always say, "Oh, this is the best one we ever wrote." And I'm not saying they do or don't believe it, but for me, hearing the record, I go, I'm very proud of this. I think, you know, we did a good job. I think sonically, it's the best sounding record we've ever done for sure. Um, but at the same time, it's I don't know, to get people, I guess just to get that, that 30 seconds that will convince them to listen to 30 seconds more and then another, song maybe, and then listen through the whole record. It's like at the end of the day, I think, you know, probably where it sits with me now is all I can do is try to put my best foot forward and, create the best, um, kind of project I can and just, I guess, push it and try to get it out there as best you can and just hope for the best. Because at the end of the day, it's algorithms, it's 50 million songs being released every day. It's like you're not, it's an unwinnable battle. So it's like you just hopefully we can reconnect with the existing fan base and then get in front of maybe some younger audience and try to like just kind of build it out. But it's I try not to lose too much sleep over it, although it is something hard to avoid because making a record is not, I mean, it takes a lot out of you, especially, I don't know, start to finish, the whole process, especially this one. I did a lot of these songs kind of in my room. So, like every instrument, every note, like just kind of slaving over this thing. And so there definitely is that feeling of, okay, like I lost sleep over this. I put so much time and energy and and then for it to be released and people just like maybe it's not even that they don't get it or it doesn't connect, but more so they didn't even listen long enough to hear a part that might have like really hit home or whatever. It's like it's it is a frustrating feeling, but at a certain point it's like as long as I listen back to it and I feel like I did what I set out to do, it's like you I guess you just cross your fingers. I don't know, it's kind of is what it is, I guess.
What are you thinking then with set list moving forward? Are you going to try and introduce as much of the new songs into it as possible so people they get a flavor? Because I've seen it at crowds and gigs when I've been in the the standing point of the person who's bought a ticket, and it's amazing. It's amazing seeing live music. But the moment the band announces a new song that hasn't been out yet, it drops because no one's used to it. No one can sing along, and it's a risk. But as a
Yeah.
band, you still need to incorporate and bring those songs slowly into the mix. So is it really difficult to kind of put pen to paper and pick a set list that pleases not only the crowd, but you as a songwriter, you as a musician, you as a band that want to feel still stimulated while going on stage?
Yeah, I think in the past, we've been a little too conservative in the sense that again, you feel that lull in energy when you try to, put in some deeper cuts or a newer song or something, that they're not as familiar with. And so we try to lead on the older ones, the ones we know that are going to go over well. But over time, it kind of creates this thing. It's like, well, for the past, however many years, we've kind of played the same set just in a different order over and over again. It's like in my head, I'd want something new. And then you got to think as a listener, and then you got to think as well, there's artists that I'll listen to that, they'll put out a new record and I'll love it and I'll listen to their older stuff and, not super resonate, doesn't super resonate with me too much. And so I'm like, okay, I want to go see this tour on their new record. I want them to play mostly those new songs. But then you have the old fans that want the old stuff. So it's like you never really are going to please everybody. Um, but I think moving forward, we're going to play, we're definitely going to play some cuts that, we know that the audience is going to, be happy with and, the older ones and whatnot. But I think maybe we'll take some more risk. Again, we haven't, right now we're doing the Winter Forever play. So, I mean, we actually, we put a decent amount in right now for this UK run. We're doing that record in full, and then we do a couple from Reverie, a couple from Halo, and then we do I think we're doing three songs off the new record. So we're putting them in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and again, so I mean, we released the first single we released was Long Goodbye before the US run, and that was actually kind of uh very pleasantly surprising. We released it maybe a week or two before the first show, and I remember playing the first show, and we finished the the Winter Forever um songs, and then we get into Long Goodbye, and it almost had an equal reaction. Everyone was singing along as if it was an older song. I was like, oh, like we thought it was going to be, crickets, but people were really engaged. It was like, okay, maybe this one resonated. And then now, since we've released two more singles, those have been added in, and we played Nottingham last night, and they seem to go over well. We've seen some people singing back and whatnot, and they haven't been out for that long, so I think we'll probably take more chances and just try to, because bands that we've toured with in the past, I would always take note. Um, I want to say that, like, the story so far. I want to say, I think like we'd be on tour with them, and they would be, promoting a new record, or record was, just on the cusp of being released, and they would just open like the first two songs, just unapologetically, just like open with two new songs that like nobody really knew. And in my head, I was like, oh, it's kind of risky, like, because I've always just kind of nervous and scared of kind of like pushing the envelope. And but I always like had this respect, especially looking back now. I'm like, they just did whatever the hell they wanted, and they kind of informed the audience like, hey, this is what we're playing, so like figure it out. Kind of had that mentality, and it was like a kind of a bold stance, but at the same time, like you said, you have to incorporate those songs. You need to like, filter in the new music. So um yeah, hopefully a little bit more of that. I mean, I don't want to alienate completely, but definitely get some new music in there.
Yeah, and the fact that people are digging it is awesome. What's it like sitting on the album knowing it's finished? And I always feel like it must be when I finish an interview, I want to get it edited and out there for the world to listen to. And if someone says, "Oh, wait for the album to come out, then we'll do a press run and all this," I think like, but it's sat here, and I just want the people to hear it. Like, there's no point now in making people wait. And
Mhm.
as an artist that's produced an album, it must be mixed, mastered, ready for the world to listen to. Are you? Is it frustrating? Are you like, I just want to hit that publish button and let people hear it instead of kind of waiting and letting build up of pre-orders and vinyls to be pressed? Is it quite difficult?
Yeah, I think it's it's tricky. It's tricky too, because as you release the singles, you know, we released Long Goodbye and before the Winter Forever tour, as I mentioned, and the label said like, oh, we'll save. We all kind of had an idea of what the main singles would be, and we're like, we'll release this one as a standalone, and then we dropped it, and it had way stronger of a response than I thought. So I'm like, well, this is interesting. And then release the next one and the next one, and as they get, kind of come through, and you kind of gauging responses, it's always this tricky thing where you're like, well, there's different colors and flavors on the record. Like you want it to be out so people can kind of get the full picture of what's happening.
Yeah,
Whereas, they just hear the first one, they go, oh, every song sounds like this. Or they hear maybe a more mellowed track and they go, oh, every song sounds like this. It's like never really the case. So, but at the same time, like we mentioned prior, it's like to get to hopefully get that opportunity for that whole record to play in front of them, for them to sit down and actually listen start to finish. You kind of want to, cherry pick the right, colors from the album to show them that there's kind of a spectrum, and then, maybe it sparks curiosity to where they'll give it the full playthrough. But yeah, it's definitely this thing where I'll just, I listen to it, at home listening back, and just I try to kind of take myself out of my own head and kind of step into the shoes of a listener. And as I go through the record in my head, I go, I think it hits a lot of, different areas, and it has, a pretty good arc to it, and the flow feels right, and there's, variety on it. And so in my head, like it works, but again, start to finish, you become so close to it that I don't know, my perspective could be way off. It could come out and everybody could hate it. I could be totally wrong. I don't know. But you're so close to it that it's like you kind of want to get it out there and get the full, thing in everybody's hands so you can kind of get the honest response. Because the responses from the singles are good, but you don't fully know because, maybe they just saw a clip on the Instagram or they just saw, heard a snippet here or there or whatever, but they don't have the full like, project. So yeah, you get a little antsy, but I think we're coming up. We're dropping early June, so we're not too
It's not
far
too
off.
far now, no.
Yeah, so but yeah, but it kind of slowly builds, right? Like as you're, you know, I demo out all the songs, myself, so the full record in kind of raw pre-production form exists pretty early on, and it takes on its own life as it gets properly tracked and cleaned up and all that, but I've been sitting with these songs for a while now, so I'm definitely ready for them to, be out there in the world.
You probably have some of the most beautiful vinyls coming out as well. I think I saw earlier, was it Black and Baby Pink?
Yeah, I think yeah.
It's stunning, man. Like, I love vinyl anyway. Like, you could release the worst music on record ever, but if the vinyl's nice, I'll buy it. Um, but you got like the Seaside, I think it was Seashore or Seaside Marble, and I just like all of them, just stunning, man.
Hell yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had some colors that we kind of were sticking to for this project, and there's some kind of pink, blue, kind of
Yeah,
sea stuff, and then black and white and whatnot. So I think it came out pretty cool.
no, it's really exciting. Do you get
Yeah.
nervous now, the fact that you're out there playing again? You're doing the UK tour as we're literally sitting here now. You've just sound checked, and is it Glasgow tonight, I think?
Glasgow, yeah.
Yeah, is it exciting? Do you still get those nerves before you go on stage? Are you still sitting there thinking, like, let's hope this goes well, and I want to put that mask on if I'm not quite feeling it, and I want the world to think that I'm ready for this, even if deep down there's a bit of you that's like, I'm exhausted or I've got other things on my mind. Are you able to switch on that? Right, we're going to be in a band mode now, and we're going to put on the best show we can.
I mean, it is interesting because I feel like I don't know, I don't know, we've done this since 2009 or so, and still the nerves still come, as we're getting closer, we'll finish this and then maybe an hour or so later, we'll probably hit the stage or sometime around there. And I still get the jitters, the nerves, and I don't know, it's interesting. Even a song, songs that we've played hundreds of times, it's like you still get that. But I think that's good. I think
I think it's
that's
healthy.
yeah, I think it's healthy. It's an indicator that I still care in the sense that, this has a weight and a meaning to me, and I want to make sure that it's presented well and comes across in the right way. And I think if I didn't care that deeply about it, it would be a lot easier to just go up and phone it in. But yeah, I'm still nervous. And I think back in the day was probably a little easier on the nerve side because, you know, uh with like alcohol and whatnot, kind of, tone down the intensity a little bit, but I haven't drank in years now. So now it's just kind of just raw emotion, just getting up there, just ready to go. And it's like you feel everything, and it's a good thing though. Overall, I think it's a healthy way to know that you are still engaged and fully in it, if that makes sense.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
What I'll do, because I'm conscious of time, what I do on every episode of Mark and Me, I put you on the spot right now, and every episode is different, even though I'm at 500 episodes, because what I do to end the episode, my final question is always the same. And what I do is I ask the guest who's on the podcast, if it's an actor, an artist, a poet, they all get the same. You get to choose a song that means a lot to you. And the reason I ask this is it's going to be used as the outro music to the episode. And that's what keeps every episode different. What is a song, and I know it's difficult because I'm putting you on the spot and you might have 100, but what's a song that really means something to you personally that you would love to be used as this interview is finished and ready for the world to listen to be played to the audience that are tuning in today?
Wow, that's a that's a big one.
And you're not allowed to
Uh,
come back to me in a couple of days' time. I'd like to know now because there's a reason why um, that song will come to your head before any other.
I have I have three, but I know I have to pick one. This is tough. I have three that sit right at the top of the mountain that I'm thinking of. Um, Interesting. Okay, to carry it out, I would say
How many have you got in the head now? One or three or five?
in my head I've got three. They're all kind of different, but I would go with maybe Regarding Stacks by Bon Iver.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that.
Do you want to know the runners up?
Yeah, definitely.
The runners up was going to be uh either Godspeed by Frank Ocean or True Love Waits from Radiohead.
Oh, Radiohead, I've got them tattooed on me. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't know how
Real
I'd,
quick. That's a great example of what we were talking about to kind of come full circle
yeah.
uh, with the new record kind of thing. So I've been a Radiohead fan for years, but on that Moonshaped Pool record, I put off listening that forever, and I just kind of like stuck to the old records and whatnot, and I didn't listen to it for so long. I just put it off, and then years later when I dove into it, and then not only dove into it but get to the final track, which is True Love Waits, I was like, oh my God, I've missed out on my like favorite Radiohead song like for years just by not like being willing to dig into new music or new at the time, right? Um, and it was kind of like a learning lesson. I'm like, sometimes you just gotta like sit down and give it an honest chance because again, I would have never heard that song if I was just like, well, I'll just listen to Kid A. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm as guilty as you, my friend. I didn't listen to In Rainbows straight away. I was like, well, it's not the Bends, and I don't want to listen to it because it's not going to have Paranoid Android on, and it's not going to have the same songs as the first albums. And then I listened, and I was like, oh, fuck, it's better than anything else they've ever done. And I was like, what the hell have I done? Like, oh my God, this is the greatest album of all time.
right?
So yeah,
So good.
I'm ignorant. So it's bad, really.
Yeah, I hear you.
What a couple. I mean, Dust. Do you like the band Thrice?
Thrice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't yeah, you said that was another band that we kind of probably did covers of when we were in kind of elementary or like middle school, I think. We covered a
So
couple songs.
yeah, they're one of my favorite bands ever, and they've evolved in time, and their sound has never stayed the same. They've never played it safe. But Dustin came on the episode. He's been on a few times, and he picked Bon Iver, and it was Hey Ma,
Okay, cool. A newer
and
one.
I hadn't heard that at the time, and I was like, again, listening to the old stuff, and I went then down a rabbit hole and started listening to so much Bon Iver, like literally every week. I was like, oh fuck, I've missed out, and I went through everything, and now you're going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to now dip into it, edit it into this episode, and then realize I've been missing out on the best stuff for a long time.
Yeah, that song for me is any any possible mood, any time of the day, doesn't matter where, when, why, what. That song, I put that song on in my headphones and it just like hones and like zones me in and I'm just like I don't know. It's interesting because I've heard it hundreds and hundreds of times. Every single time it captivates me. I can't be. I don't know. I'm just completely captivated every time I hear that song. So that's a good one, I'd say, to go out on.
It's incredible. And I'll probably do Radiohead as well. Like, I'm going to end up, because I've not listened to all their albums. I still, because every album I kind of get lost in for a long time.
Yeah.
So what I'll probably end up doing now is also dipping into that album more, because that's probably the album I've not listened to the least. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm excited already to start editing and listening to Radiohead again with my headphones on and get lost in the music.
Yeah, that last song, True Love Waits, is it's a good one. I think it was the song that Tom had like a ton of variations with, like over a decade or maybe longer, like years and years. They have random live versions of it, and this one is just a super sparse, just piano, and it's like it's very haunting, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you're just like, I should give up songwriting because how could I ever get
Yeah,
to this level?
100%.
Have you
Yeah.
been lucky enough to see Radiohead live?
I have not seen Radiohead live, and I'm really hoping they do some US dates
Yeah,
soon.
they've
I'm
just
waiting for
been
that.
in the UK and they've just done some nights at the O2, and I couldn't get a ticket. They sold out in seconds. Um, and I'm talking seconds, but I wish more than anything I could have gone. But I did see them when they brought out Kid A, and I've seen them at a festival. But if you haven't experienced it live, my friend, that
Oh
will
my God.
change your life. Like if you think they're great and you love them anyway, the moment you see them live and you're seeing like Johnny Greenwood in the flesh and you're just seeing what he's doing, you can
Yeah.
just watch him on his own for the whole night and just still be like in awe. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I really hope I can get tickets when I'm sure they'll come through the States soon.
Well,
And
if they're listening
yeah.
to this, hopefully they'll be like, right, yeah, we need to get out there now and start doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, dude, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I hope tonight's show goes really well in Glasgow. I hope the rest of the UK dates go incredibly. And I hope it's not that long until we see you at some festivals over here next summer or, whatever happens, the world will put you back over in the UK across the pond and we can celebrate your music. And yeah, I really, really do appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yes, thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate it. It's been fun.
I'd leave her now if I could have you tonight. I'd leave it all if I could have you tonight. Maybe you would feel the same if I gave you some time. I would shoulder all that blame if it would make you mine. Was it all for nothing?
So there it is. There's my interview with me and Kyle from the awesome band Seahaven. I really enjoyed today's interview. It got deep. We got to talk a lot in depth about music, all about life on the road, the kind of time you should take on an album and not rush it. It was just brilliant. It felt like a really honest and kind of wholesome chat. So thank you so much to Kyle for coming on the episode. And as I said at the start of today's interview, the new album, which is self-titled by Seahaven, is out now. Please go and check it out. You will not regret it. It's a brilliant album from start to finish and is truly worth the wait. What I want to do now as well, if you've enjoyed today's episode, is please ask something from you all. Please share the episode. This is why stuff like Shinedown becomes #1 in the charts and gets the most downloads, because you guys at home take the time to share it on your Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok. I say it on each and every episode because it's how Mark and me keeps going. I'm a one-man team. I'm an independent podcaster. I don't have adverts all over the podcast, and I want to remain that way. And I can do this by you guys always sharing the episodes. So please, as you're listening to this, take out your phone, or if you're on your phone already, open your Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and just share the episode. You don't realize how much of an impact that has from you literally clicking a couple of buttons. I do also have a Patreon account. All the money that comes in this year will be donated to charity. At the start of the year, I've already donated £500 to cancer research, and I'll be choosing my next charity next month to donate the next few months' worth of Patreon. There is a link on markandme.com, and I appreciate each and every one of you supporting me. And as a thank you for supporting me, you do get a welcome pack with stickers, you get a limited edition festival sticker, you get a badge, a monthly newsletter, and I know I keep saying it, but you will be getting episodes that are exclusive to Patreon coming very soon. I just need to get this crazy summer festival period out the way, and that's going to be my first thing on the list. I want to give a shout out to the two sponsors of Mark and Me. Firstly, starting with Vice Press. These people produce the best posters and prints in the industry by the best artists all over the world. They're all licensed, they're all official, and they're all available on vicepress.com. Anything you add to your basket, if you use the discount code MarkandMe26, you get yourself 10% off. And trust me, there'll be so much that you want to buy. And lastly, Richer Sounds. If you want to get yourself anything to do with audio and visual, maybe a new TV, a projector, some headphones, hop onto richersounds.com or visit any of their high street stores, and they won't be beaten on price and give the best advice out there. They've supported Mark and Me for years now, and I'm so grateful. Right guys, I'm going to go now because I'm getting ready for Download Festival, but I will drop another episode just before I go. So until then, look after yourself, listen to Seahaven, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
This my excavation to days cool. Everything that happens is from now. This is pouring rain. This is paralyzed. I keep throwing it down to hundred at a time. It's hard to find it when your money's gone and you're drunk as hell. On your back with the wrecks as the stacks you load. On your back with the wrecks and the stacks you load. On your back with the wrecks and the stacking you load. I've been twisting to the sun. I needed to replace the fountain in the front yard's rusted out. All my love was the toss. Whatever could it be that has brought me to this loss? On your back with your Rex as it stacks you low. On your back with your Rex and it stacks you low. On your back with your Rex and it's stacking you low. This is not the sound of a new man, or a crispy realization. It's the sound of the unlocking and you lift away. Your love will be safe